Okay, Magic Makers, welcome back to the third episode here of our metabolism series. And today we are diving headfirst into fat loss, but not the kind of fat loss that many of you guys are thinking. We're talking about fat loss done right. Because, ladies, most of you have been living in diet jail for years. Yeah, you're either on a diet or you're off a diet. There's no in between for you. There's no seasons, there's no strategy. It's just this constant yo-yo or this constant feel that I must eat at a certain way. And if I don't eat a certain way, all of my results are just like shit. And honestly, that's exactly why you are where you are. That's exactly what's keeping you stuck in the same frustrating cycle. And so today I am breaking it all down. How to actually enter a fat loss phase without destroying metabolism and how long it should really last. Hello, it's not forever. And why your obsession with that damn scale is literally sabotaging your progress. So if you've missed, um, I've done three episodes thus far. Episode I did about just talking about what is a tired metabolism. I did an episode about reverse dieting, and I've done an episode on maintenance. If you have not listened to that, I highly urge you to go back. You don't necessarily have to listen to it, but I think my goal was to stack these episodes so that you have an understanding of the strategy, right? That it's not this just like, I'm gonna wake up and be like, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks and I'm gonna lose weight. Like I want us to break up with that, right? Because this is what I know. Most of us ladies in our 40s, we're not that 20-something-year-old girl who someone calls and be like, hey girl, we're going to the Cape this weekend. I live in Massachusetts, so the Cape's a thing. Or we're going to the beach this weekend, or like we're going to Cancun. We don't do that, right? In order for us to do that, I gotta like figure out work. I gotta figure out the dog. I gotta figure out the kids. Like there's no just like, peace, I'm out. So I want us to kind of realize that, like, for most of us, if we zoom out and we look at how our life is, we all know that there's certain times of the year that I go on holidays. We know that certain times of the year that, maybe you have a beach house and you're going to be spending most of your time at the beach house, starting, in June or July. You know that every, February you go on some type of warm vacation or like we have patterns in our life. And my hope, my goal of these conversations is so that you start to see that we're going to ebb and flow our nutrition, ebb and flow our workout so that every workout isn't like this is, like the last workout, the last supper, if you will, before all hell breaks loose. All right. So those episodes lay the foundation. So dive in. I'll wait. All right. So before we even start thinking about creating a deficit, let's get brutally honest about something. Do you need to lose weight or are you looking to change your body composition? And I know that for many women who are listening, we hit that 40 mark, our body just like, blew up on us. And for many of us, it's a combination body composition and and weight. But so many of us have just been caught in the like, I must lose the last 10 pounds, I must lose the last 20 pounds, where most of us, if the scale never moved, but my body composition changed, you'd want that. And so what is body composition? Let me give you a definition about body composition. Body composition is when I literally look at my body in the mirror or put on a pair of pants, I don't feel that my belly is hanging over my pants. My belly button isn't digging into my jean pants. That's what I'm talking about body composition, that we're actually seeing some more muscle. We're seeing fat loss go. That can happen with very little change on the scale. And for so many people, if the scale does not change every goddamn week, you're failing. And then you come to me or another coach and you're like, oh my God, I gotta go harder. I must cut, 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 cut. And I must, do more, 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 more. And that's why we're in this vicious cycle. And I'm not calling you out because I call myself out on the same bullshit, right? It's the same bullshit that I've been spinning for years myself. And fortunately, I've been able to finally like break free, but it ain't easy, right? I've seen you, dieting for decades, under eating, over exercising, and your metabolism is tired as hell. right? And then fat loss, like, might not even be your first goal. For many, my goal when I work with clients is, if you've been in that like vicious cycle, is how do we repair your metabolism? For many people, I see a lot of inflammation because your body just is like holding on for dear life. Through hormone changes, through under eating, over exercising. I see it all. I see it all. So for many of you, we might need to reverse diet you up to maintenance calories so your body can start to actually function. Because if my body is in like, fear mode, it's not going to give me what I want. It's going to be like, oh my God, she's coming again. I got to hide. And we don't want that for our bodies anymore. We want our bodies to finally feel safe to lose the weight. And to do that, I might have to learn some solid habits, right? The only habit that I know many of us have been taught is diet. That's the one habit. The diet is, I'm going to flip over that package and I'm going to look for the number of carbs or fat or whatever on that nutritional label, right? That's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to get rid of sugar. I'm going to get rid of dairy. I'm going to go vegan. That happens all the time. But how does that work out, right? You can do it until you can't. And my goal, my ultimate goal when I work with women is to stop that. I'm going to do it until I can't, because that's bullshit, right? I want you to be able to do it until like you're ready to move on to the next phase. I want you to be like so healthy in your mindset that you're like, I don't always have to diet myself into oblivion. Because I see it all the time in my DMs, women who tell me oh my God, Kim, I'm only eating 1,200 calories. Kim, I'm working out 6 days a week. And why can't I lose the weight? Honey, your body's in survival mode, right? You can't out diet your way through a damaged metabolism. It just doesn't work that way, right? One of my mentors described your metabolism the best way. It's like your metabolism is like a thermometer, right? And so I want you to think about, on a hot day, a cold day, I get into my car. My car's been sitting outside. Let's just say a cold day. My car's been sitting outside. I get in and it's like 2 degrees outside. I get into my car. Does my car immediately turn to 70 degrees when it's been sitting outside in a 30-degree on a 30-degree day? No. It takes some time for my car to warm up. It takes some time for, once my car warms up, for the heaters to start going up, and eventually my car will be 70 degrees. What we want is, we want Amazon Prime. We want it to be like, I ordered it, ding dong, there it is. So that's how our body is. Our body is a thermometer, right? It's adaptive, it's reactive. So if I'm constantly beating the shit out of it, it's going to react to that. If I'm constantly overfeeding it, underfeeding it, it's going to react to that. So if you are ready for fat loss, maybe you've done the work, you've reversed, you're maintaining it. Great. Awesome. Here's what you need to know. Fat loss is a phase. Just like the moon has a phase, just like your 2-year-old had a phase, it is a 12 to 16 week maximum, my friends. It's part of an overall strategic plan. You do it 12 to 16 weeks, and then you reverse out to maintain it. It is not a lifestyle. It's not a forever. It's not your overall, it's part of the overall plan. And the scale will slightly go up. But if I'm truly looking to change my body composition, you won't notice a change in your clothing. And you probably look the same. So it's like, I want us to kind of really start to say, like, okay, some people are like, I'm about to click off this chick because she don't know what the hell she talking about. Right. So let's just talk for a second. The diet industry has convinced us that we should be trying to lose weight 365 days a year. If I were to turn on the TV right now, I promise you within the next 30 minutes, I'm going to see a commercial for one of the weight loss drugs. I'm going to see a commercial for some, Noom or Weight Watchers or some supplement. I'm going to go on social media and I'm going to see in my feed, I'm going to see some, uh, supplement for targeting women over 40, like, buy me and you'll be skinny by Monday, right? That's what the diet industry wants. They want to just get in our pocket and take from us. And that's insane. Your body wasn't designed to be in a constant restriction. Research shows that after 12 to 16 weeks in a deficit, the adaptation of your metabolism kicks in hard, right? Your metabolism, your hormones start fighting you, your hunger increases, your energy tanks. And so we cycle, right? We have a fat loss, we reverse, we have maintenance. wash, rinse, repeat. This is how we can create sustainable results without destroying your relationship with food or re-destroying your metabolism. So here's where, I said we zoom out, right? So if we look at, everyone's like January 1st, it's like my New Year's resolution. But like if I zoom out and I were to look at my year, January to December, typically my husband and I go on vacation in February. We used to go the second or third week. We used to go on vacation in February. So for me, I'm like, okay, if I know I'm going to go on vacation in February, 12 to 16 weeks ahead of that, I'm going to look at, okay, I want to be in a fat loss phase, right? I go on that vacation. I enjoy myself. I don't go back batshit crazy. I enjoy myself on that vacation. I come back. I reverse myself out of that vacation. And then typically I don't do anything March, April, May. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be a phase. This will be my maintenance phase, or this will be a build phase. Then I stay in that phase and I could decide, like, hey, I'm going to stay in this maintenance phase until, you know, November, December, or I'm just going to stay in this phase until January. Like I can ebb and flow. I could also be like, hey, I got some downtime in the fall. I want to build, right? And so I'm going to bump my calories even more, right? So it's like it's my phase. And so I've look at my year strategically and knowing that like most of it doesn't really change that much. And for most of you, I know that doesn't really change that much. So if you've already decided that you're I'm gonna use this word earned. You've earned the right to fat loss. Then, excuse me, let's talk about how do we actually create that deficit. And spoiler, it's not the like what you just said in your head. Oh, I have to lose slash 500 calories a day, and that's how I'm gonna lose weight. No. I want us to stop following those outdated rules, right? This is the new rules. This is the like new millennia rules of how we start to lose weight. First, I want us to start small, right? Let's just not dive into the deep end. Let's wade into the pool. And first, I want us to look at our extras, right? So like look at what you're currently doing right now so that you don't radically shift what you're doing, because I see it all the time that there have been times that I've radically shifted someone and they're fucked up. They're like, I don't know how to eat. I don't like what you've recommended. And then they're like, but I have to do this. And they like are forcing themselves to eat stuff that they don't like. And I know firsthand, when I am not excited about my food, I don't eat. I can't get excited. I have like two bites and then I'm done. And I want you to be excited about your food. I want your food to be realistic, that you can go to a grocery store and actually get that. Like I'm not sending you to a grocery store to get Eye of Newt. I want you to be able to easily find that. So one of the ways that I talk about of fat loss for people is that let's look at what you're currently eating. So for me, I typically have a protein shake, and in that shake, I'll put some almond milk. I'll put a half avocado, and excuse me, I'll put in a tablespoon of almond butter. So now in a fat loss phase, I would take out the almond milk. Instead of a half avocado, I would do a quarter avocado. And instead of eyeballing that almond butter and measuring it with my heart, I would actually measure it with a tablespoon. And so that's the small tweaks because they add up. So if you think about that, that's probably about 200 to 300 calories a week that I've cut from my nutrition. It wasn't like this stark cutting because back in my competition days, it would be like, from kind of say 16 weeks to 12 weeks, it was pretty much the same. And then like 12 to 10 weeks, pretty much the same. And depending on where I was coming in, around 8 weeks, things got like shit got real. And then the last 4 weeks, things shit got really real. And I just remember every time when like, shit got real for me, it would be like, I would get the email back from my coach and it'd be like, remove. And I would just be like, I'm like, I don't want to have a funeral, right? I want to like wade into the water. I didn't want to like read this email on a Tuesday and be like, cut, 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 cut. I was like, because it was like some of the foods were the things I liked, and I've shared the story before about an apple. Like I really like apples. And it's kind of like my afternoon sweet treat. And when like apples were gone, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even get a chance to mourn it. I just God. So I want you to really start to think about like, so when I work with you, like I'm not going to come in and like give you this whole like, remove nutrition. I'm going to like look at where you are and find strategic spots that we can pull things that you might not miss initially, right? That it's not going to be this like, oh shit, like she's coming in and she's cleaning house. Like we just want to start like doing those little tweaks. And so that way, like you're not this it's not dramatic, right? It's not like I don't know if you ever watch those TV shows. I was addicted to them in like the like 90s and early 2000s. It was a show called True Life on MTV. And I remember there was an episode where this woman was helping a family lose weight. And she goes in and like goes into their snack closet and just literally like is like pulling it out by the handful. And I just remember the little boy like just like lost his shit and like storms out of the house and he's like red face crying on the porch about losing I don't know whatever the snack was. And I don't want you to be that little boy. So we're going to make these tweaks so that you don't feel like you're being deprived and you don't feel hungry and you don't like feel like you're white knuckling your way there. And then we start to play with our portion size, right? So like I said, I was measuring the almond butter with my heart. So maybe we're measuring cooking oils with our hearts or something else with our heart. And we start to kind of like really hold back a little bit and be like, was that rice really a quarter cup or was it a little bit more than a quarter cup? Was I really having 5 ounces of protein or was I really only having 3 ounces of protein? So it's like those little tweaks that we make just to see how that adds up. And then, we start to kind of like see how that's progressing. But it's like I am like I'm gonna wade you into the pool. Now, some of you are like, girl, I want to go into the deep end. No, you don't fucking want to go to the deep end. Let's just stop with the I must go big, I must go home, I must go hard. No, trust me, if you start to wade your way into the water, it's way more enjoyable. You'll learn more about your body. And what I want you to do is I want you to learn. I want you to be like, okay, when I so I was on a coaching call a couple of days ago, and this woman was saying she's like she, she was removing sugar from her nutrition. She's like, you know what I'm noticing? She's like, when I don't have sugar in my coffee, she's like, I don't have like I don't crave sugar later in the day. And I was like, great, right? But we only made one change, and we talked about sugar, and now she can see substantially what happens when she took sugar out. Now, do you have to take sugar out? No, not at all. But I'm just saying, when we tweak little things at a time, we're able to start to put the pieces together so that we could see A plus B equals C, right? We're able to start to, I always say one of my favorite shows is CSI, right? Because on CSI, they walk into the crime scene and, they start to put together the clues and they work one clue at a time. They're not like looking at the whole room and they're like, oh, that wrench must mean something. And oh, that shoe must mean something. And oh, that open window must be something. They take it systematically and they're like, what happened? Step by step by step, so they could recreate the crime. And that's what I want you to think about when it comes to nutrition, right? And so my old coach used to say this to me, and at the time I rolled my eyes at her. Sorry, Jode. Um, but she would also say, you can go hard or you can go fast, but you can't go hard and fast. And that's sorry, you can go hard, you can go fast, but you can't go hard and fast for long. And that's true, right? The aggressive approach, sure, it's gonna work for a week or two. But then what happens? What happens when you go on vacation? What happens when, you have a social event? You burn the bleep out, you binge, you feel like crap, and we're right back to where you started. And you're like, oh my God, I need a reboot. I need a reset. And I don't say that to make fun of you. I say that because right now you're like, how'd you know? Because I was fucking there. That's how I know. That's how I know. So I, when I turned 40, yeah, I pulled the same bleeping levers, right? But then I was like, I want to play the long game. I no longer, if I am truly being honest, I spent a decade so concerned about how I looked, so concerned about what I put in my mouth, so concerned about everything. And I don't want to anymore. And if you want to, great. I am not for you. And that's okay. That's all right. But I'm here for the long game. Like I want to be able to go out on a Saturday night and have dinner with my sweetie. I want to go out on a Saturday night and if I choose to have a glass of wine and dessert, I'm going to do it and not feel like I need to wake up to on Sunday morning and say to myself, okay, all right, set the alarm so you can get up and burn it off. Those days, I'm done, Uncle. I'm over that. I am here to show you that you can hit your goals and you can have balance. You can have that glass of wine and dessert with your sweetie. You can go to the barbecue and have that potato salad. And, or you can go to the barbecue and if they put, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like odd in potato salad. Like if someone puts like raisins in potato salad, you can say no because why? Just why? What's that salad? Oh, the carrot salad with raisins. I never understand that. That's just like, if that's your specialty, I apologize, but I don't get it. And if you want to explain it to me, I'm all ears. But that's what I want for you, right? I want the long game. I want us to go slow and steady, win the race, keep the weight, keep the weight off, right? And so here's where I'm coming for our come to Jesus moment. And I really, really want to talk about expectations because for decades you've been beating your body up, right? If you think about it, the average woman has been on over 40 diets by the time they hit 40. Okay. Like that, so let's just like stick with that fact. We've been told, and it's like someone came down from the diet tablet from like the diet, like I don't know, Mount Sinai of diets, and they were holding tablets, and they were two things that have always been kind of like the gospel about diets is that one, you must lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. Bullshit. That's not gonna happen. Sorry, but not sorry. Second, I must take 500 calories out of my nutrition, right? Let's just stop right there. Let's just take that, throw it right out the window. Your body's going to do what your body does. For your expectations, it's really a complete mindset shift, right? And I'll attach this show in the show notes. But I did a whole podcast on expectations, and I say there's four different mindsets that women over 40 have. And I like to equate it to GPS, right? So if anyone is familiar with the GPS Waze, I use it all the time. I like it primarily I live in Boston and sometimes traffic can just be a little buck wild. Okay, not sometimes. A lot of the times it can be buck wild. So I use it to just be like, yeah, I know how to get places, but is that the best route given the time of day that I want to go to it? So so if I think about GPS, so I'm going to grandma's house, right? And I know exactly how to get to grandma's house. And one of the mindsets says, I'm driving down the highway and Waze says traffic building ahead, get off at exit 10. And I usually get off at exit 15. And I'm like, God, I never even got off at exit 10. I've never even paid attention to exit 10 because I'm getting off at exit 15. The rigid mindset says, I know what exit 15 gives me. And I might get there faster. Right now it says 20-minute wait delay, but if I take exit 10, I'm going to get there faster. I'm just going to stick with what I know because, I know exactly what I'm gonna get. And that's where some people stay, right? They're like, I know, because it worked for me when I was 25, so I'm just gonna stick with it. That's a rigid mindset. Then the second mindset is you resistance, right? So you're like, it's not freaking working. I'm banging my head up against the wall. I want change so bad, but you're nervous. You're like, oh, what happens if I take Route 10? What if it does take exit 10? What if it doesn't work out? And then you wrestle with that. So you're kind of stuck in this like, I know that I don't want to be in traffic, but I'm scared about what's going to happen if I get off earlier on the highway. Then we have the third mindset that's like, oh shit. Well, yeah, I could get off at exit 10, but what if there's construction on the road? What if I'm stuck in bumper to bumper traffic because everyone else is getting off on Route 10. Everyone else is using Waze. And so then we have the final mindset shift here. And that's, the open mindset. That's the growth mindset that says, you know what? I would rather be moving, right? I would be rather be moving, knowing that I'm being guided by someone who knows an alternative path. And I'd rather do that than keep grinding away, knowing that I'm going to stay stuck, right? So that's that's where I want us here, right? That we shift our expectations that right now, when I hit 40, my hormones are running the show. And when hormones run the show, there is no solid path. If I have been on a diet for as long as I can remember, there is no solid path. If I haven't cycled my nutrition, changed my nutrition, the only time I've ever changed my nutrition is losing my ever loving shit on food. The 1 to 2 pounds, the 500 calories a week, that ship has sailed. Your body is smarter than that, right? It's been to this rodeo before. It's like, oh, hell, here we go again. And it sits its ass down, puts its feet up, orders a scotch, and smokes a cigarette, right? It remembers every restrictive diet you've done, every time you've cut your calories too low, every time you've exercised till you feel like a wet noodle. And it's like, I am done. So we have to make sure we don't put your body in that hell again. And you know what? That feels hard as fuck sometimes. There's going to be weeks that that scale doesn't move. There are going to be days that we question everything. But here's where I lean into the consistency, right? Because we're working on something that is realistic. We are working on something that you are excited about. We are working on something that you can actually make a plan for in your everyday life, including vacations, including when life lifes, right? And it's ultimately sustainable because I've seen people stay on the 1,200 calories for a really long freaking time, but then I've also seen them like dive off the deep end from time to time. And here is when I start to create my like realistic, excited, planned, sustainable work here, I get more consistent. I don't try to be perfect. And because here's what I learned all of these lessons the hard way. And I try to the best way to describe it is like, for those of you guys who are listening who are parents, you see your kids making a mistake, right? You see them running for the brick wall and you do your best to be like, honey, don't go for that brick wall. Yet they're running full force. And then sometimes as the parent, you're like, little Johnny's got to learn that lesson, right? And sometimes as a coach, I can say, hey, I see this coming for you. And sometimes you listen and sometimes you shake me off. And sometimes you shake me off. I'm like, yeah, sometimes you got to learn that lesson. And this is something I learned the hard way that progress isn't always going to be on the scale. For me, it was like my pants started fitting better. My legs started looking leaner in photos. I was sleeping for the first time in a really long freaking time. And I finally didn't feel like I needed endless cups of coffee. But the scale, some weeks it just stayed, it just stuck. And I just realized like I had to kind of zoom out, just as I'm asking you to zoom out on your strategy, zoom out. It's like, how's my hunger? How's my energy? How's my craving? Because if that scale didn't move, but I wasn't like binge eating goldfish crackers at 3 p.m., I wasn't hungry after dinner. I wasn't eating a Klondike bar at 4 o'clock because I just needed to have some sugar, right? And I found that if I wasn't always chasing the number on the scale, I actually missed signs that my body was changing. I take progress photos. I used to be more religious about it, but now I am not. But it's like I take progress photos at least every other week. I pay attention to how my clothes are fitting. I have a pair of jeans that's not from 20 years ago. I have a pair of jeans from like 5 years ago that I'm like, these are my thermometer jeans. Like these are the jeans that like when they fit well, I'm feeling really good. Maybe you have something from last summer, or last winter, whatever it is, but I want it to be within the last 3 to 5 years because if I'm trying to get down to a size 2 when I was 25, I don't know what to tell you, right? Because when my energy increases, my mood increases, my sleep quality increases, these are all indicators that your body composition is shifting, even when the scale is giving you the finger. And please, for the love of all that's holy, stop moving the goalposts. I see it all the time. People come to me like, Kim, I really just want to lose the belly fat. Great, awesome, let's do that. And like we're chipping away, we're chipping away, we're chipping away. Oh, girl, I'm going on vacation. I want to lose the 10 pounds. And I'm like, helping you lose the belly fat and helping you lose 10 pounds are very different because belly fat is mostly related to hormonal changes. So I'm working with you to kind of help you balance your hormones, but losing the 10 pounds is a completely different strategy because when I'm helping you with the belly fat, I'm also helping you with your metabolism too. So like get super clear on one goal and like just lock in on it. It's kind of like when you wanted to buy a house. It's kind of like when you wanted to buy a house. Sorry, I lost my lighting here. It's kind of like when you wanted to buy a house. And how many times did you like, I'm buying a house and laser focus. I'm buying a house. I'm buying a house. I'm buying a house. Did you like, oh, but I need to buy a new car. So, and if I try to split the baby, right? If I kept saving, like say saving $100 a week to buy a house. And then I was like, oh, but I also want to buy a car. And I split it in half. So now $50 is going to the house. $50 is going to the car. It's going to take me longer to be able to buy any of it, right? So I want you to be like this lock in on like whatever that season that you're in, we're locked super in on that. And when you hit that goal, celebrate the shit out of it. Don't immediately decide, oh my God, I need to lose another 10, or oh my God, I need to have six-pack abs. Like that's how you end up in diet jail forever, right? Celebrate the phases, fat loss, celebrate, reverse, celebrate, because so many of you have just been in one phase for so long, you can't even remember when you've shifted out of that like phase other than to go on a bender. Celebrate it, right? So that, we realize like everything has its place. All right, so let's get practical here. Like, what are some of the non-negotiables for your fat loss phase? One, patience. I think I've been crystal clear about that. Real sustainable fat loss takes time. We're talking months, not weeks. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but it is the truth. And my goal is to share with you the real scoop. And there are, I see it all the time. There are people out there that are like, girl, I can get you 30 pounds in 30 days. Great. Rock on with your bad self. Enjoy and best of luck to you. But I'm not that person. Second, keep strength training. I can't stress this enough. Like, do not ditch the weights because for so many people, like I feel like strength training is black and white. You're either that cardio person or you're either that weight person. I am that weight person. Cardio, I'm like, ew. All right. I am the strength person, but I can't stress enough that strength training is going to help you maintain muscle while you're in a deficit. Are you going to be building while you're in this deficit? No, but I'm going to be working to keep what I have. Now, for those of us over 35, I know you've heard the stat, right? We're losing 5 to 10% of our muscle mass every single decade. And once you hit 60, that like accelerates. So I want you to really be in a position that you have so much muscle on your body in your 40s plus that you're like, I'm already like I'm ahead of the curve, right? And the third is to focus on consistency. I see so many of you, and I trust me, I am a recovering perfectionist. I'm a recovering workaholic. I'm a recovering hustler that like I had a laundry list. This is what I had to do, and every single bleeping box had to be checked. And that's why a lot of times I work with my clients to come up with 1 to 3 non-negotiables. Like learn that, learn the 1 to 3 not your non-negotiables, then we can expand. Because 9 times out of 10, when I ask a client, I'm like, okay, why don't you give me your non-negotiables? I get 20 things. And I'm like, girlfriend, pick 1 to 3 that feel challenging but doable. And when those are just like, this is what I do, this is who I am, then we can add on, right? Again, slow and steady wins the race. And you don't need perfect days, right? You need consistent days because I see it. Like if I miss one box, you're gonna fucking crumble. And that's not how you make progress. Like you beat the crap out of yourself. Progress comes from what we do most of the time, 80%, not occasionally and not every bleeping day. The other thing, don't slash your calories. Like slash your calories or radically cut food groups. Again, aggressive cuts always backfire. Trust me on this one. And if you are like literally looking at your mirror, giving yourself that, giving yourself that hard look in the mirror, you'll say, yeah, you're right. Like, because how many times did you go on hard and then you fell off and next thing you know, like your elbows deep in a Cheetos bag. Don't skip meals or intermittent fast. I'm not a such I don't even want to go down the rabbit hole, but don't skip meals or fast all day thinking that you're going to speed up the progress, especially in perimenopause, menopause. Your body will fight you so hard on this approach. And if you're someone who wants to try intermittent fasting, I recommend instead of pushing that eating window in the morning, push that eating window at night so that we can eat first thing in the morning. And don't ignore biofeedback. Hunger is a sign. Energy taking, it's a sign. Mood shitty, it's a sign. Those are signs something needs to be adjusted. And if I'm adjusting 500 things at the same time, I'm never going to know, was it the protein? Was it the carbs? Was it the fat? I will never know. So we're going to tweak one little thing at a time, tweak a meal at a time, tweak timing at a time, so we can start to really build what's going to work for you. Because when I start to build what's going to work for me, then I'm like, oh, like I told you about my client, she knows, oh my God, when I cut out the sugary coffee drink in the morning, that made the rest of my day so much better. That's where I want you to get to. Okay. So if you've done your 12 to 16 week fat loss phase, now what? This is where most people screw up royally. You reverse out. You gradually add calories back. You don't just go back to eating whatever you were eating. You strategically increase so that your metabolism can recover and adapt to this new body composition. Then we maintain. And this reverse, depending on how low we went, could be a couple weeks. And then you hang out there, stabilize your results. And this is where you prove to your body that the new scale weight is safe. Like it's okay. We don't immediately go back into restriction when the scale goes up 2 pounds. I would say that maintenance is about 3 to 5 pounds, right? It's about 3 to 5 pounds. And then I also always have to just gauge for people your goal weight. Where'd you get that from? Right? Was it from 20 years ago? Was it 10 years ago? Because I have a client like, well, I just always felt better at this weight. And so it's like, I don't want to discredit that, but I also want to say, like, trust how your body feels now. Like, maybe making this number up, maybe your goal weight was 150. And maybe right now you're sitting at 170. And you're like, I need to lose these 20 pounds. But what if we go down 10 to 160 and you feel really good and your body composition looks really good? Are you going to fight for that extra 10 because you think it's 150? And I'm just throwing this out, food for thought, so that sometimes we get again an image in our brain, but we are not willing to kind of take the biofeedback. And as I opened up this podcast, talking about how sometimes we need to change body composition versus scale weight, right? Fat loss is a phase. It's not a lifestyle. You cannot and should not be trying to lose weight all the damn time. Your body needs breaks. Your mindset needs breaks. Your social life needs breaks. The goal is to cycle through the phases strategically so that you can achieve the body composition goals without destroying your metabolism or your relationship with food, weight, workouts in the process. So I'm going to just share with you that this whole thought process philosophy was like foreign to me. And I didn't start working on this until last year. Excuse me, last January, I started working on this. And so it took me a while to figure out maintenance, right? Because I either was strictly dieting, just eating the same shit over and over again, eating low quality food, like living off protein bars, protein shakes, having like one like quality knife and fork meal. And there was no middle ground, there was no strategy, there was really no plan. And now my in my most recent fat loss plan, which has probably been, I would say solidly for the last 2 months. So it's been about 8 weeks. The scale has barely moved. And I'm talking like maybe 2 to 3 pounds over these last few months. But you know what's changed? How my pants fit, how I feel in photos, how my sleep is, I've usually been like a 7 hour sleeper. I'm now sleeping somewhere between 7.5 and 8 hours of sleep. Right. So my biggest change hasn't been physical, but it's been mental. And I'm making peace with the process. I've stopped fighting my body and I've started working with it. And that magic makers has made all of the difference. So if this episode hits home and you're sitting there thinking, okay, I can't be in a constant fat loss mode, I've got the perfect next step for you. Grab the quiz. I'll drop a link in the show notes and it'll show you exactly where your metabolism right now, what phase you're in, and maybe you are ready for fat loss. Maybe it's reverse. Maybe it's maintenance, but you'll know for sure. And if you are looking for like the complete roadmap, I'm working on my metabolism reset guide, and that'll walk you through step by step how to move through each phase so you can finally get off this diet roller coaster. Remember, magic makers, your body is not the enemy. It's not fighting you. It's not trying to make your life difficult. It's trying to keep you alive. It's trying to keep you healthy. And when you start working with your body and not against it, that's where the real magic happens. All right, magic makers, I will talk to you next week. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if this landed with you, do me a favor, screenshot it. I would love to hear like your biggest takeaway. You can do that on the gram or find me in the Fit Girl Magic Facebook group. Enjoy your day.